A packed arena in Atlanta tonight as former President Donald Trump makes his final push to turn Georgia red again. I'm Blair Miller.
And I'm Carly Barnett. The former president just finished a rally at Georgia Tech. And Atlanta News First Madeline Montgomery is live from the campus force in Midtown Atlanta. Madeline, this may not be Trump's last Georgia visit before Election Day.
I spoke with one of the campaign media personnel, and she was telling me that this might not be the last we see of former President Donald Trump before November 5th. And she also told us that she was impressed by how enthusiastic the crowds were out here at Georgia inside of this arena. Take a listen. The campaign media director tells me that he could be back because they are really hoping to make Georgia red again. Tonight's crowd extremely enthusiastic about all of the different speakers who were out here to hear the former president. People we spoke with say that they were mostly from Atlanta, and many were Georgia Tech students. Georgia politicians like U.S. Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Mike Collins spoke, as well as Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Mr. Trump spoke on keeping Social Security, strengthening the border, and he encouraged everyone to get out and vote early.
You have a lot of early voters, and you have a lot because we have a 50-50. So the rest of you have to get out and vote. We're leading by a lot, but get out and vote. We can't take any chances, right?
And something interesting, not everyone here tonight was necessarily voting for Trump. Some of the students that I spoke with said that they are undecided and they wanted to come out to hear what exactly former President Donald Trump's policies are so that they could make an informed decision on Election Day. Reporting live in West Midtown, I'm Madeline Montgomery, Atlanta News First.
Madeline, thank you. And we are nearly a week away from Election Day next Tuesday.